What's up, Somebody Talk 123. The Marlins have continued their spending trend this offseason, not making the big news. Let's go back to 24 hours ago. And we're looking at a situation where Cardinal fans are almost getting to the point where they're going to, one way or another, they're either going to be celebrating or they are going to be crying tonight. That's what it looked like 24 hours ago, and it really did look like the Marlins were going to take Albert. It had the vibe where they're just going to go in there and offer a ton of money, and Albert's not going to, won't reject it. He'll go to Miami, and you're starting to get mad at Albert. You're starting to get mad at all these different people why he signed there, and then what you don't realize is that 24 hours later the Marlins are going to be pulled out of the discussions. They pulled their offer. I think it was a mix between the fact that really the Marlins, I think, they were not totally used because Albert was definitely interested in playing there. There was definitely some bruise in the Cardinals organization and Albert, and he was definitely interested in playing in Miami. I mean, who wouldn't want to be, playing for pretty much a new organization? The way they're kind of refreshing everything there, the new stadium, the new logos, um, Jose Reyes and Heath Bell. And then, they've really shown interest in a lot of guys, and they have a lot of young, good talent there. So, for a free agent, why wouldn't you want to go there if you're pretty determined to leave your team? But Albert is not determined to leave his team, and I think, he wants to stay in St. Louis, so if he gets the right offer, he's going to stay. And I believe it's a 9-year offer that he got from the Cardinals, probably an option or two in there. Definitely some incentives, probably either front-loaded or back-loaded. I'm guessing front-loaded on the contract. And really, I was thinking, this team, the Cardinals, could be better without him because of the money that we're going to spend kind of could cripple our team for the next 10 years. But then when you think of the roster, think if he signs the Marlins realistically, whenever I think of that roster, you're always imagining him in it. I mean, if you think of the roster and the lineup without him, you kind of have to start from scratch there because all of a sudden you don't have the best player in the big leagues. And I think sometimes Cardinal fans take that for granted, like because we're so used to having him. But it's payday, and he's been paid the last. Underpaid for a baseball player standpoint. For the marketplace, he's been underpaid for baseball, but for everyone else, he's of course overpaid. But underpaid in the baseball market, and that's what you have to look at. It is a business. So disappointing for Marlins fans that they pull out of that. Because really, they were just kind of committing too much money, too many years to the player. And really, I think Pujols, once they realized that he was probably going to go to the Cardinals if the Cardinals got the right offer. I'm guessing Albert told his agent, I'd be interested in playing somewhere else, show me the offers. But if you could match that offer, that if St. Louis could match that offer, get really close, I would rather play in St. Louis. And I think he ultimately would want to play in St. Louis. He loves the city. He's always said he wants to finish his career here. Imagine the 500 home runs and things like that. They wouldn't mean anything in Miami. Going there just because you're in Miami and the new players and the new ballpark and the money. It's a lot different than the Midwest St. Louis tradition that he's developed. So I don't think it would mean as much. But in the other sense, he's won 2 championships with St. Louis. He could go to Miami, a new, younger team, and try to start fresh there. But I think he's probably going to end up going back to the Cardinals. And what's interesting is I thought this would go a lot later in the season, and it's probably going to be he's probably going to be signed by the end of this week. So very interesting there. The Marlins pull out. There still is a mystery team. So I'm done talking about Albert Pujols. He's definitely took the headlines though the last few days. But the Marlins pulled off a very nice deal here. Now, when you're looking at predictions, I did think that the Marlins would get Mark Buehrle because there's just too many reasons for them not to. They have the money to spend. They like Mark Buehrle. I think it was between, let's see, who did I think it was between? Honestly, I think it was mainly the Marlins. I could see him wanting to go there. Ozzie Guillen going to Florida or Miami. They definitely have the money, and they like Buehrle and C.J. Wilson. They still could get C.J. Wilson. Now, they already have a great staff as it is with Josh Johnson. If he comes back 100% healthy, Anibal Sanchez, you got Ricky Nolasco, whether they could trade him or not. I think they were going to if Albert signed. But then you even have a so-so rotation, and it's making it worse. You know what I mean? But and then I don't think they're going to tender a contract to Chris Volstad. But I think they could look and trade like a Gio Gonzalez. Seems very realistic for Florida. But at this point, you add a Mark Buehrle. He's going to be a number 2, number 3 starter for them with Johnson, probably number 2 Buehrle, number 3 Sanchez, which is a very good rotation. First three at least, and then Nolasco is very solid. So this Buehrle signing is fantastic for the Marlins. Yes, a lot of money here, a lot more money than I thought he was going to get. I think a lot more money than a lot of people thought he was going to get here. He's a 4-year deal for I believe it was $58 million or something crazy like that. So when I looked at Buehrle going into the marketplace, I didn't really know what to expect. He's one of those pitchers where it's not like that wow factor like a CC Sabathia. Oh, he's going to get over $100 million easily. It's not that. It's just really solid, very consistent, very good starter that is very hard to come by these days. You know, you look at some guys that look at C.J. Wilson even. He was very good in the regular season and just struggled in the postseason. Sometimes you can't count on certain guys. And Mark Buehrle, for him to get a 4-year contract, which I think is only going to be a year or two less than C.J. Wilson, the fact that he's older than C.J. Wilson, it says a lot about Mark Buehrle. And the fact that C.J. Wilson won 16 games last year and might only get a few, maybe a little bit more annual salary than Mark Buehrle, it just really tells you that a lot of teams need a guy like Mark Buehrle, and they want a guy like Mark Buehrle. Very solid pitcher. His stats have gotten better this last year than they have been the years before. So an amazing year this year, really putting up those numbers before he hits free agency. And I think, from his standpoint, I think he was hoping for a 3-year deal. Nothing, for sure. And I think he was trying to get a 3-year deal right around, $38 to $40 million. But again, you can never guarantee something. So he's hoping for one thing, and he ends up getting a better deal in the marketplace. And the market was very strong for Mark Buehrle. A ton of teams were involved in his chase at one point, and were definitely interested. Even the Cardinals were probably interested at one point, considering that he would definitely take a hometown discount. He's always dreamed of playing with the Cardinals, and I think that he would take a lot less money to play with the Cardinals. But the fact is, he's not a fit in St. Louis right now. Maybe when he's done with this Marlins contract, maybe sign to a 1 or 2 year deal when he's older. Maybe he'll be a fit then. But what I know now is that we have 5 starters, and we have them all a lot of money to those starters. And to just sign Mark Buehrle and try to trade 1 or 2 of them, it doesn't make sense. So a great deal for the Marlins, though. They're going to improve their starting rotation a lot here. They've improved offense to a point where it's like, okay, you add Albert Pujols is going to be great for the fans, great for the franchise, great for the city, great for selling tickets and jerseys, and will provide that definite offensive spark. But really, this kid, Gabby Sanchez, is a really great first baseman. His offense is totally there. 25 home runs, 80 RBIs. He's young. There's nothing wrong with having a guy like that develop at first base. Nothing wrong at all. A lot of teams would love to have Gabby Sanchez. And that's why the Marlins would have traded him probably for just a starting pitcher, just a proven starting pitcher, one-on-one type of thing. Because I think that they need pitching. And so for them to offer all these years and all this money to Pujols, I think it's not really fixing the problem there. I think you need to look at pitching. And I know they're in the heat in the moment, and they're really excited about the whole Albert possibility and be huge for them. But I think they are going to be better off by signing Mark Buehrle, and then, save the money you saved on Pujols and the amount of the years, that contract could have been bad for them. And the money, and you could actually, if you can find a trade that gets salary off the books, which I'm guessing like a Hanley Ramirez type of deal. I guess they're trying to trade him now because Hanley Ramirez does not want to play third base. He wants to be traded. Well, you probably should have told them that before they signed Jose Reyes, but I think they would have signed him anyway. The problem is Hanley Ramirez's value is so low at this point. The fact that his contract is very expensive, and the fact that he had the worst career year ever, and has definitely showed not a good clubhouse presence. That, if they traded him 2 years ago, imagine the value they get, with this guy. But, of course, why would they think of trading Hanley Ramirez randomly? He's got all these years left on his contract that just signed. And so it wouldn't make sense then. But, now, whether or not they actually trade him, I was imagining this lineup with Albert Pujols in it, and you see Hanley Ramirez, Jose Reyes, Emilio Bonifacio. It's such a great lineup. You look at Jose Reyes leading off, Emilio Bonifacio, Hanley Ramirez, Albert Pujols batting cleanup, not there. That's how he begins at it, which is crazy. Then you have Mike Stanton, Logan Morrison. I mean, this team is very good, and so the fact that they still have Gabby Sanchez, they're going to be fine at first base. I mean, it's not that big of a deal they didn't sign Albert. And the Cardinals organization needs Albert, I think, more than the Marlins do. I mean, yes, ticket sales and all that. But the Marlins got Jose Reyes, they have Mark Buehrle, they have Heath Bell. They have all these fan favorite type guys that are going to do fine in Miami. So the Miami Marlins looking very good for 2012. Don't expect them to be done. I'll look for a trade to happen, maybe even another free agent signing, as they are right now the front runner for C.J. Wilson. Can you imagine a rotation of Josh Johnson, C.J. Wilson, Mark Buehrle, Sanchez, and then Ricky Nolasco? I mean, that is big improvements getting Mark Buehrle, C.J. Wilson, and then you get Heath Bell, who are all in their 30s. I mean, they're not young, but if they're able to, or instead of C.J. Wilson, if they're able to put a package together to get Gio Gonzalez, you're looking at a Miami Marlins going in the right direction here, getting a young star starter to lead that rotation in the future. Right behind Josh Johnson, you go Josh Johnson, Gio Gonzalez, Mark Buehrle, Anibal Sanchez, and Ricky Nolasco. I mean, that looks just as good or better than with C.J. Wilson in there. And C.J. Wilson is just going to cost you a lot more money, and he's older. So either way, if they can put up a trade for Gio Gonzalez or just sign C.J. Wilson, this team is looking really good. Definitely going to battle in the NL East. Do I expect them to win? I do not know yet. I'm going to have to look at the rosters at the end of the offseason to see who I predict to win the divisions. Last year, I got a few divisions wrong. I predicted that the Brewers would win the division. Got that one right. And I thought the Cardinals would be a close second and definitely a front runner for the wild card. And I think I got that one right. Really, I didn't really have a clear prediction for the Central because it was so close. It was between the Reds, Cardinals, and Brewers. And really, when it came down to it, I thought it was going to be between the Cardinals and Brewers because of the Cardinals' additions. People counted them out. Getting Lance Berkman, you got to take that as a positive. If you were watching the Cardinals the year before, they had John Jay and Wright, who didn't have much power at the time. A definitely improvement with Lance Berkman. So some people discounted them. I said they were right in it with the Brewers, and it ended up perfectly right. The East was easy with the Phillies, but I said the Braves and the Marlins would be, somewhat of a competition. The West, I was way wrong there. I predicted it was going to be the Dodgers. They get all these free agents. It's nice to look at the outside. When you look at the inside, not so nice, and the Diamondbacks pulled definite upset there. The Central, I predicted it was going to be a tough race between the White Sox and Tigers. Wrong on that one, but I thought the White Sox would win. And then the West, I thought the Rangers would repeat. That was right. The Angels would definitely get better, but that Vernon Wells trade was absolutely terrible. They would be so much better without all that money tied up to Vernon Wells. You got these young outfielders that can take his place and do just as good. And then, let's see, what else do I have? Oh, AL East. Ooh. Not good on that one. I did think that the Rays would do better than most people thought. I mean, this is a young team. This is a team that it comes back from a lot of controversy. And they have Joe Madden. So I thought they'd do better than a lot of people thought. But I think at the end of the day, I predicted it was going to be Boston, which was wrong. So I think I got like half of them right, which is not terrible. But the main thing is, once the season started, when the playoffs started, I predicted the NLDS and ALDS, and I got them all right. I predicted the Cardinals. I predicted the Brewers in 4 or 5 games. Got that one right. I predicted the Cardinals in 5 games. Got that one right. I predicted the Rangers in 4 or 5. Got that one right. And I predicted... who else played? Oh, I definitely predicted the Tigers to beat New York. Now, that wasn't obvious to me. I don't know. New York was very good this year, but it was definitely Tigers' years to get to the ALCS. The ALCS, I predicted the Rangers over the Tigers. That was a very easy choice, honestly. And when you got to it, and you're like, wow, the Rangers are back in the World Series predictions, and it happened. And then you look at the Cardinals and Brewers. The Cardinals are my team, and I believe that they could actually win that series, and I thought, it's going to be tough, but I think they can do it. I picked the Cardinals. And then when they got to the World Series, I said, they're in the World Series. I'm picking the Cardinals. I'm not going to pick the opposite team, But in my mind, I kind of thought the Rangers would win. They second year going. But the Cardinals ended up winning. So really got all my playoff predictions right. That's crazy, and I take that more than I do 2 months before the season started predictions for division winners. All right. So anyway, thanks for listening to this kind of rant thing. So let me talk 1, 2, 3. Thanks.